Can you tell us a little bit more about the lineage from Burt Grimm to Colonel Todd and then Bob Shaw and all that? Can you just clear that up?
Originally, Burt was the tattooed man for Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show, and he tattooed out of a tent, which was in the turn of the century. Buffalo Bill Wild West show was the most famous thing running around. It was like they had Andy Oakley and Sitting Bull and all those people in it, and Burt Grimm was the tattoo guy. And then eventually he settled down in St. Louis, and he opened a shop in St. Louis, and he worked there for a number of years. And then he heard about the military being in Long Beach, and so in the late 40s he moved to Long Beach, and there was an existing tattoo shop down on the Pike that he bought. It was called The Professionals at that time, and he made it Burt Grimm's world famous tattoo. And Bob Shaw learned from Burt Grimm's back east when he was in St. Louis. And Bob Shaw and Colonel Todd worked as a team. And it's hard to explain nowadays because the people don't understand. But back in the old days, most of the big tattoo shops were in military towns, and they actually did assembly line tattooing. That's why you got Spalding and Rogers, Shaw and Todd, and a number of other pairs of tattoo artists. One of them would outline and one would shade, and they usually had somebody doing setups. And everything was done off of flash. Everything was done off of acetate. The setup guy would shave them, put the acetate on. He'd move over. Bob Shaw would outline it. Then they'd move to the next chair, and Colonel Todd would fill it in with shading and coloring. And they worked as teams. And so consequently, when Bob moved back to Long Beach with Burt, he got a hold of Todd and told him, yeah, man, this place is popping, man. They got the Navy bases off the hook. I believe it was the Korean Wars going on, the fucking ships in and out of the harbor. You need to come down here. This is the spot. And so Todd eventually moved to Long Beach with Burt Grimm's and Bob Shaw. And most of the people who served an apprenticeship, unless they transplanted, like Cliff Raven came from Chicago. But everybody else came out of the Burt Grimm's or the Captain Jim family. J.R. Grove came out of the Captain Jim family because he worked for Captain Jim in the Valley, and that's where he pretty much learned.
A lot of people might not know who J.R. Grove is, but that's
Mike Pike's dad.
Mike Pike's dad, and I learned under Mike and his dad, J.R.
Yeah,
so that's why.
That's your lineage.
Yeah.
Now, me and J.R. worked together, so it sort of crossed over there, too, because me and J.R. were working together, and both of us, because Captain Jim really never taught you too much. He'd give you a machine and some needles and some ink, and if you could draw a little bit, he'd give you a little bit of hints here and there, but, I mean, him and Tennessee Dave really didn't teach you a lot because they didn't want you to go out on your own. So me and JR would go down and hang out with Phil Sims and Mark Reynolds and the guys down on the Pike and learn from them. Well, we were running the shop there in Gardena. And, we'd suck up as much knowledge as we possibly could. We'd get tattooed by them guys and whatever, and ended up being friends with them.
But you had to get tattooed kind of to get any information too back then, right?
Right then, nobody gave up shit.
At least that's how it was too for
pay
us,
to play, man. Pay to play.
It wasn't the information was not out there at all, like zero information.
Nobody gave up shit.
Yeah.
Unless you were actually working for somebody, you didn't learn shit.
Should still be like that.